What's up, everybody? We're back, and I'm excited to say we're going to build something today. Today, we're going to get started on a gas tank. Try and get some framework to hold the existing tank in the frame without the body. Try not to burn my house down. That's real important. I got to sell this in a couple months, so we need to not burn my house down. Stay tuned. Alright, let's talk a little bit what we're going to do here today. Mounting the tank, pretty straightforward. We got to build a framework to hold the tank. I've seen a couple different ways people have done this, and we're going to kind of take what I think is the best of all the designs and mix it with a little bit of my ideas. Basically, just a angle iron frame around that'll get welded to the frame. There's already other people doing that. That seems to be a pretty good idea in my book. Only things I want to change is I'm thinking ahead that if I ever have to take this tank out, I want to be able to do so from laying on the ground. Right now, to put this in is super easy, but if I'm laying on the ground, getting up to the top is not that easy. So I want to make it so that I can get it out relatively easy from the ground. And the other thing I'm seeing that I want to change is clearance kind of things. So let's talk about how I want to get it in and out first. Do want to build the perimeter frame, but I also want to put a strap on the back side to act kind of like a basket that'll hold the tank in, so I could pull it in and out like that, and just that kind of direction if I need to change it out for some reason. Also put a strap on the front side with a bolt on the bottom, so that's how that will come out. Alright, we've addressed serviceability of the tank down the road. We're trying to make a cradle that we can swing in and out. I think we got that covered. And, the straps on the front, I think that's a good thing. I'm going to overbuild this. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. It's a gas tank, and I don't know, it makes me think it should be built strong. 19 inches. That's how tall the tank is. I've got it sitting directly on the cross member right now, and everybody, I mean everybody, mounts this tank level with that cross member. When we do that, 19 inches down puts us all the way down here on the pumpkin. So 4 inches is below the axle. I don't feel comfortable with my gas tank hanging down 4 inches below the axle. Now, I know this sat in here originally in this configuration. We're not reinventing the world, but right here is how this sat from the factory. And you can see that it's a little bit below the frame rails, but not much. So I want to try and get it that same way. The biggest problem with that is now we raise this up. This is a truck, so there needs to be a bed at some point. But let's face it, this thing is no longer a truck. This is a car that looks like a truck. I'm never hauling anything in it, and we're just going to lose bed depth. That's the bottom line, because we need to move this tank up. That way, if we ever decide that we want to lower the stance or bag it or anything like that, or if, hey, we just happen to be going up one of the roads in West Virginia and hit something, I don't want it to punch a hole in the tank, break the bracket off, who knows what happens. But I want it to be up higher. So we're going to raise that up to where the top of the tank is above the cross member, because I think it needs the clearance. Looking at the tank, the only measurement that I really need is from the top to the bottom of this flange, because that's the main bracket there. And 19.5 will get us clearance. So as long as we have that for it to sit in at the top to the bottom, that'll fit that way. We're going to do the width based on the cross members. So let's get the tank out of the way and kind of lay out what we're doing. Basically what I'm looking at here is 1 inch angle on the cross pieces and 2 inch on the sides. The reason I'm not doing 1 inch on the sides and 2 is just because I have more surface area to weld this piece to the side piece. This is going to come in too far at the tank, so we'll have to cut notches out of this side piece for that, but it will still give us a nice heavy place to weld right there and get that nice and strong, and then that'll give us more surface on the frame rails as well to weld that, and I think it'll just be sturdier. Okay, we got the basic frame set out. Now this next part takes some thinking, so pay attention, because I don't have time to answer 900 questions on Twitter or in the comments because you didn't pay attention. That goes there, but it only goes back so far. That's what I was talking about. We got to cut this out to match the tank. The way we're going to do so, we're going to clamp it on there, and then we're going to offset trace that, and then we'll know where we need to cut that out. The thing I said pay attention was, gotta remember, this tank's how it's going in there. So we want that so it goes like that, so it won't in. So make sure that that's on that side. And one side of the tank's bigger than the other. We obviously want to cut the smaller side. So alright, got the notch cut out. Fits in there just like I was hoping. Cut that a little deeper than what I probably needed to, so on the other side I'll cut it a little bit more shallow, but that's what we're looking at. Alright, got this side cut out too, and that's going to fit good there. The only problem that I see on this side is, for whatever reason, this flange is flared up just on the edge. Like I said, today's not the day I'd burn down my house, so I don't want to cut that off there, so I think we'll just hammer that flat. Don't worry, there's a reason why I shouldn't do that, and somebody will tell you in the comments, so go check that out. But in the meantime, we're going to hammer that flat. Alright, just want to do a little test fit, make sure it fits before we weld it permanent. A little bit snug, but that's what we needed. Alright, want to do a little test fit in here, make sure it does fit between the frame rails after it's all welded up, because, you know, I'd like to move a little bit, but that's pretty much what the gist of this is. I got to go run out real quick and grab some straps for the back and for the front, and then we can get to welding this in. So let me go grab those real quick. Alright, should be pretty simple what we're going to do here with this. Going to weld it on the bottom, wrap it around the top, weld it to the top, and then carry that around. We'll cut off the excess with a bolt that goes in and out there, so that's how we can get the tank out. So measure this up, weld that on. Anybody see what I did here? Welded that on the wrong side. That was supposed to be on the bottom to loop up to the top, just weld across, and then come in one continuous piece. And now you welded it on the top first instead of the bottom. Which is fine, except now it's not one piece, so now we'll have a weld on a weld. Anyway. Now that I've got that strap all the way around in one piece, kinda. Originally I had thought we're going to weld a nut to the frame, bolt down through there like that. But with taking a second look at it, this piece actually rides a little bit above right there. And it would be better to pull this in this direction to get that tight around the curve that way. So I'm thinking of welding a tab that's just got a hole right there, and then bending this back to a 90, drilling a hole there, and then running my bolt through this way, and that'll tighten that up and pull that in around the curve that way. Take a look at getting this beast in here. I've been on the fence on welded in, bolted in, welded in, bolted in, welded in, bolted in. There's how I gotta go, and it just so happens there's a hole right there and a hole right there. Those are going to be in the exact same place, so even if we weld it in, I still think those are good reference marks on how we get this mounted, because I can get this up, get it really lined up good on one side, figure out where that hole is, drill it in the frame, then drill it on the other side in the frame. Now I've got two perfect holes on both that should get it all lined up perfectly. Holes drilled, frames tapped. Let's see if this will work. Alright, well there it is. It all came together pretty nicely. Still got a couple loose ends. We need bolts. I didn't know what bolts I was going to need, so I didn't have those on hand. Right now I just got the two bolts going through there, holding that up, which that's the way I'm going to roll with it for the time being. I don't know what all the structure for the bed and everything's going to be like. I don't know if we'll ultimately need to move it forward, backward, up, down, but with the bolt situation, it gives me the flexibility to change things down the road. If I weld that, that's a pretty big commitment for not knowing what direction we're headed. So going to leave that like that. Probably will make some kind of a bracket from here to this cross member so that it's got some more strength at the top, and that'll probably be it for that. But for the most part, gas tank's mounted. Like always, thanks for watching. Tell me what you think of the video below. We'll see you next time.